Good morning, everyone. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Glad to have you here. Click that like button. And if you're enjoying the content that you're viewing today, make sure that you follow before you leave. The Wake Up America show schedule every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. All right. Well, big, huge, enormous news. Donald Trump, former president of the United States, maybe the future president of the United States, set to join the Libertarian Party at their national convention, where they will be nominating their presidential candidate to address the Libertarian Party. They invited both candidates, but only one has decided to take them up on their offer. What does this mean for the Libertarian Party? Good idea? Bad idea? Let's hear from the woman who masterminded the event. Angela McCardle, the chair of the Libertarian Party, joining us live right now. Good morning, Angela. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been quite the ordeal to organize this and see the variety of reactions in response to Trump's appearance. But we are having former President Donald Trump speak at our national convention Saturday, May 25th, right after our presidential candidates have their debate.
So why invite your competitors to the convention?
Sure. So for 53 years, we've been trying to get into the debates, the national debate stage with major party candidates. It's never happened. Let's be real. It's probably never going to happen, especially with the way the debates are being handled now. You know, Donald Trump didn't show up to any of the primary debates. He just blew them off. Biden is just like a walking geriatric patient. I can't imagine that his handlers are going to let him do a debate with Donald Trump. This may be the closest we ever get to an actual debate. He's going to take the stage right after our debate. He's agreed to respond directly to a list of libertarian grievances, with his administration and with government in general. It's pretty darn close. I think we need to take this opportunity.
Okay. So I'm obviously people are divided, whether it's a good idea, whether it's a bad idea. I work in the media. I know how the game works. I think it's a good idea. I think the Libertarian Party was sort of struggling to
Yeah.
find its place this year, especially with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. running and kind of like
Yep.
taking away some of that third party fervor. And so I wonder, do you think that from a media perspective, the Libertarian Party is going to benefit, greatly from this? Is that kind of what the play is?
Yeah, this is going to be hugely beneficial for us media wise. I mean, you have our candidates on the stage just a few minutes before he takes the stage. Media who comes to cover him they're going to be covering our candidates as well. It's going to be a huge boost for us. We need it. We need this win.
Okay, now the on the opposite side of things, if I were running for president of the United States as a libertarian in 2024, I would probably be a little bit embarrassed because he would the way Donald Trump works, he sucks all the energy out of the room. It's not about anybody else, Angela. It's all about him. And frankly, I would think that this would be stealing a lot of attention away from the presidential candidates that you want to promote. How would you respond to that?
They've got a few weeks to practice and make it all about them. This is refiner's fire, this is your opportunity to be like the very best. And I think everybody should try to rise to the occasion. I- And your point about him sucking all the oxygen out of the room and making everything about him, I mean, that's exactly what he'd do in a debate. So unless we want to just like hide from him and think, oh, we'll never have any competition, we might like that exudes loser energy to me. We got to try to be the best in the room. It's our house, it's our stage, it's our audience. We should be able to own it, and if not, I think that's a poor reflection on us.
Now, hindsight is generally 2020, right? But in regards to foresight, the possibility that this could backfire does exist. And when I say
Sure.
backfire, it could be that Donald Trump convinces a lot of Libertarian Party delegates not to vote for your candidate, but to vote for the Republican parties. Are you concerned about that?
No, I think that we have quite a bit of TDS in the audience and a lot of people who just are just completely fed up with the two major parties, and that's why they're the Libertarian National Committee delegates. Most of our delegates are very committed. And, we've got a poll going on our convention website, lnc2024.com. Already lots of votes there on the top issues that Donald Trump should be speaking on. I think people are definitely not Donald Trump fans, and they're very committed to trying to get their message across to him.
What do you think of Donald Trump?
I think I wish that he would get back on Twitter. That's, I really wish he'd get back on Twitter. That's what I think. I think he's hilarious. As chair of the National Libertarian Party, I've got to support our Libertarian candidate. But I appreciate his willingness to come and put the media spotlight on us. I think that's a really great thing.
Do you acknowledge, Angela, though, that the Mises Caucus, which is swept to power in the Libertarian Party, they were part and parcel of your rise to the chair as well. A lot of Mises Caucus people supported you. Or do you acknowledge that many of the Mises Caucus supporters, who tend to be more right libertarians, if you will,
Mhm.
might be more willing to support Donald Trump than their own candidate?
I don't know. I think the TDS has been a little infectious, uh, but
Even
no one's
amongst
there to
even amongst Mises Caucus people?
just a little bit. But no one's there to support Donald Trump. I can't imagine that we've been familiar with who Donald Trump is now for 8 years, and all of a sudden he's going to speak, and we're going to be like, "You've convinced me." Ah, I don't know about one speech on undoing 8 years worth of political work.
But you don't think that the Mises Caucus it would tend to be more favorable to Trump per se than they would be to, oh, I don't know, a Chase Oliver?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, the whole point is to be in the Libertarian Party. They're less triggered, like they're not screaming and talking about how I've, ruined the party by inviting him. But I don't have anyone, throwing down saying, "All right, I'm in for Trump." Like they recognize that this is a media opportunity and a speaking appearance, and they're going to try to capitalize on it and do what's best for the party.
Right. For those who might just be tuning in now, I'm speaking to Angela McCardle. She is the chair of the Libertarian National Committee. So she oversees the institution to ensure the continuity of the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party's national convention will convene. When is the convention, Angela?
It's Memorial Day weekend in Washington, D.C., so May 23rd through May 26th.
Right. And we're talking right now about the Libertarian Party inviting Donald Trump and Joe Biden to speak at their national convention over Memorial Day in Washington, D.C. Any love for RFK Jr.? Did he get an invite?
He did get an invite, and we're still trying to work out the details, so he might be appearing. And Biden hasn't said no yet. So it could be, I could maybe be holding his hand on stage, making sure he gets up there safely, making sure he gets back down safely, getting him his favorite ice cream. But, we don't know yet. Maybe Joe Biden will say yes. Maybe we'll get Kamala Harris. There's all kinds of things could happen.
Why do you think Donald Trump wants to speak to the Libertarian Party?
Donald Trump and Joe Biden and his handlers, everybody right now recognizes what a critical voting bloc we are. They know that we hold a fraction, a good chunk, a percentage of the vote, and people are going to try their very best to try to get that vote. And that's just politics. I don't find that particularly offensive. That's a really good thing to know. And so, my perspective on that as well, come and take it. Come give us your best speech, not a stump speech. We want to hear you speak to us and our issues directly, and let the broader members and small L libertarians decide.
What are some of the issues that you think would differentiate Libertarian Party presidential candidates from Donald Trump?
In the Fed, audit the Fed. It was part of Donald Trump's 100-day plan. He was going to audit the Fed, and then it didn't happen. Peaceful foreign policy. Donald Trump, I think, has been one of the best presidents on foreign policy in a long time. He didn't start any new wars, but he didn't bring the troops home. There was still a lot that could have been done. People weren't happy with the arms deals with Saudi Arabia, the drone strike on General Soleimani. There's still quite a bit of room for improvement there. Not growing the national debt. I know a lot of stuff went down in 2020, but we had that COVID stimulus package that kicked off a massive inflationary hike. That's definitely a concern. And then Julian Assange, the CIA was basically trying to murder him under the Trump administration. I'd love to think that Donald Trump has had a change of heart since then and he understands how horrendous the deep state is. But we'd like to see all charges dropped against Assange.
That's a pretty good summary. In terms of the electoral politic question, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I mean, running fairly strong as a third party candidate in many national polls. He might not be on the ballot in all 50 states. I know he flirted with the LP for a little while, ultimately decided not to run for the nomination. But does he kind of hamstring the Libertarian Party's efforts in this election, sort of like a Ross Perot effect, where he kind of is stealing some of the thunder from third parties that we might typically have?
It'll be challenging. It'll be challenging, and we'll see what happens with ballot access. And I wouldn't say he's officially out of our race until our nomination happens. But it makes ballot access more expensive. It definitely splits the protest vote because plenty of people vote for the Libertarian Party candidate who are not party members, who are not libertarians. They just hold their nose in in disgust and pick a third choice. So it splits that pretty considerably. So yeah, there's a lot at stake. And of course it totally messes up the conspiracy that I was a Democrat and trying to hand the party to the Democrats. So there's a lot
Well,
of confusion now, right? Like
yeah.
Democrat or
I
Trump
mean,
supporter.
listen, if you're not getting called every single thing, a communist, a capitalist, a Zionist, an anti-Zionist, a Semite, an anti-Semite, if you're not getting called at least all of those things on both sides of the issues, then you're not a true libertarian.
That's
Angela,
right.
I have a lot of friends in the Libertarian Party from my days. I spent a decade doing activism in the Libertarian Party, and there are some wonderful people there who are doing great things, and I wish you well. I'm an idealist, right? And I'm an ideologue, but I'm also a realist. And I sort of see what I see happening, and I'd be curious to get your reaction to this. What I see happening is a situation where Donald Trump is probably going to get a lot of libertarian votes, small L libertarian votes. People like myself are voting for him because the left, the woke left, is presenting an existential threat to the United States and to our way of life. And Donald Trump did a lot of libertarian things. He wasn't a libertarian like you and I are, but he did a lot of libertarian things when he was president. So I'll be voting for him this fall. Now, it appears as if the Libertarian Party at this moment is weaker than it's ever been, that the numbers and the fundraising appear to be diminished, at least from what I'm able to tell from outside reports. And I want you to give me an accurate assessment, at least as honest as you can be, being, the head of the LP, of where you think the LP is really at in this election, because the promises were that the Mises Caucus takeover would result in more members, a stronger party, and it would outpace Gary Johnson's vote percentage from 2016. That does not seem to be the track that you all are on. Can you be real with me, Angela? Tell me where you're at and where you see the Libertarian Party landing this fall in November.
Well, let's see. Without throwing anyone under the bus, we had a plan to get a particular presidential candidate that our members were very excited about, who has a lot of media connections and was going to do quite a bit for us. And he ended up not running. And that definitely left us in the lurch. And Kennedy is also presenting definitely a bit of a challenge. And it sounds like I have a toddler right outside my door. I'm so sorry. He woke up about
It's
two
okay.
hours early.
The future we're all fighting for. But yeah, please continue.
So, it's going to be a difficult year election wise, which is why I'm doing anything and everything I can to get things turned around and get us on a right track and get us off to a fiery start as we get into the general election season. Membership has definitely gone down a little bit as we've had a lot of internal fighting and people who are much more culturally left, or maybe that's not even the right people who are more politically centrist have decided that they're not interested in a radical party. And so there's been definitely a lot of factional fighting in the party. And we're really struggling right now to understand our identity. Are we a party that is going to carry on the message of our founders, or do we want to be a centrist third choice? And I choose radicalism.
I think that's a very good answer, Angela, and it's honest and it's fair. It is a shame that one person, depended on the outcome for the entire party. Certainly, you need a bit of a multipolar approach in a political party rather than a unitary focused on one single person in order for it to work. But the Republican Party has that problem now. The Republican Party is very unipolar right now, and will probably go through a similar realignment after its titular head is diminished and is no longer the head of the Republican Party. So it'll be an interesting juxtaposition for both parties. The Libertarian Party is ahead of the game, I guess, a little bit in struggling with that, and it'll be interesting to see how the GOP sort of defines itself in the future. My take on it is this, Angela. Donald Trump wants your votes, and hearing the sound of your toddler outside your door, I consider my own child, which is forthcoming, and I truly believe that the future of the United States is in great peril from the left, from these protesters on campus, the people in 2020 who wanted to burn this country to the ground and still want to do so. And I do believe that Donald Trump acts as a bulwark. Can you at least say one nice thing about Donald Trump, that amongst libertarians and Donald Trump, we do all share the same enemies, do we not?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my loyalty has to be to the Libertarian Party, right? Because I'm literally like I am the fiduciary. But Donald Trump is a much better person and president than Joe Biden. There's no contest, and we're all hoping and praying that if he's elected, he does, a good job. I don't think that any libertarian should be fatalist. As a Christian, Christians are told to pray for the leaders of the country, love your enemies. I don't consider him an enemy. I consider him like a political opponent. But we want him to do the best job possible because I want to live in a place where my child has a good future. I don't want federal vaccine mandates. I don't want any of that crazy stuff. I don't want $30 minimum wage federally that crushes small businesses. Like, we want to prosper and thrive. And, to the extent that we push him in the right direction and make more of those things possible, I think that's a very good thing.
I think so too. And I think it was a brilliant move to invite him and the other candidates to the party, Angela. So definitely kudos to you. That was an absolute coup. Well done on that. We'll all be paying attention to what happens at the Libertarian National Convention in Washington, D.C. Angela, is there anything else that you'd like to share or plug before we let you go today?
If you're interested in attending our convention, you can go to lnc2024.com. And then if you're interested in finding out more about me, you can go to angelamcardle.com.
There you go, angelamccardle.com. You can also follow her on x.com as well. I've tagged her in my pinned post for this stream today, so you can follow her there. Angela, thank you very much. Good luck. Congratulations on getting the former president to your convention, and good luck this fall.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Angela.